In 1932, Washington was under siege. The capital was surrounded by over 10,000 unemployed veterans of World War I from all over the country. Their only assets were the bonus certificates they'd been given after the war, which promised a cash bonus sometime in the future. They needed it now.
At the end of May 1932, nearly 10,000 bonus marchers occupied the nation's capital, and tens of thousands more were on their way.
I'm going to get my bonus, and I'm going to wait until I get it. I have to wait till 1945. What's the cost you to work? Try to beat the undertaker, spend the money before the undertaker gets it. Who's made this country worth living in? It's that you fellas. Look, makes me so damn mad a whole lot of people speak of you as tramps. By God, they didn't speak of you as tramps in 1917 and 18. No. Take it from me. This is the greatest demonstration of Americanism we've ever had. Pure Americanism.
President Hoover was left to deal with the veterans when the Senate rejected their demands. The marchers had stayed, camped out in central Washington.
On July 16th, the last day Congress was in session, Washington was on edge. Thousands of angry veterans surrounded the Capitol. Near midnight, the 72nd Congress adjourned. Congressmen left through back doors and underground tunnels to avoid confrontations. The situation had come to a head. The president ordered the evacuation of the veterans from downtown Washington.
Now you bring in the troops.
When MacArthur moved his troops to the affected area, he knew exactly what he was going to do. And he adorned himself in his dress uniform along with his major aide, Dwight D. Eisenhower.
The force stepped off at 4:30 p.m. More than 200 cavalrymen spread out across Constitution and Pennsylvania avenues. Behind them came 400 infantrymen, followed up by tanks and armored vehicles.
The cavalrymen, one of whom is Major Patton, have got their sabers out.
The soldiers donned gas masks and without warning began hurling gas grenades at the veterans. The troops advanced, some jabbing with bayonets.
It's war, the greatest concentration of fighting troops in Washington since 1865.
I knew something was going to happen, that we might be getting that. And I had a press card, so I passed the police lines, and then I saw the soldiers advancing into the camp. And when confronted with this, the men all stood there and said, "Stand firm as long as you can." And they started throwing tear gas.
Tear gas was just burning my face. I was trailing behind my dad, and he kept hollering, "Come on, boy, come on, boy."
Marchers were choking from the gas, just like the battlefields in France.
And so they're being forced out of their shacks by smoke bombs and tear gas, hurled by the troops who have been called out by the President of the United States.
I've never seen anything like it. Systematically went down the line, burned up all the tents, all the possessions of the people there. I was thinking of Herbert Hoover when this happened, because his election was in 3 months. I thought this would be the finish of Hoover.
The orders of the President must be obeyed, and the roaring flames sound the death knell to the fantastic bonus army. In the shadow of the beautiful dome of the Capitol of the United States of America.
The veterans did not believe the country for which they had fought would ignore the plight into which the Depression had placed them. Many did not believe that United States troops would take the field against them.
By early evening, most of the marchers had been driven across a drawbridge that led to their main camp.
The president does not want MacArthur to cross the bridge. And MacArthur disregards the order. Eisenhower later says that he saw this happen. MacArthur says, I cannot bother with pieces of paper during a military operation. And so he crosses the bridge.
All through the camp were scenes of panic.
My dad says, let's get the hell out of here. The soldiers are going to kill us.
Then troops began to set fire to their wooden shacks. One reporter wrote, the blaze was so big it lit the whole sky. A nightmare come to life. The president looked out a window of the White House in the direction of the fire, then retired for the night.
And the roaring flames sound the death knell to the fantastic bonus army that ends so disastrously in the shadow of the capital of the United States of America.
The morning after the bonus rout, public sentiment took a dramatic turn against Herbert Hoover. If the expulsion needed a human face, it came in the person of Joe Angelo, whose story was published across the nation.
Joe Angelo gets the Distinguished Service Cross for saving Patton's life on the battlefield. The next morning, Angelo comes to the burned-out field to see Patton. Patton says, take this man away. I don't want to see this man.
The BEF was broken up. The men returned to some city or other, there to roam the streets, hopelessly seeking work or to shuffle in bread lines. There they remain, crying examples not of the need for the bonus, but of the need for a new American system.
All right. Now that was a video from X, okay, and that was on an incident that happened in 1932. I think so. I just watched it. I should know. But now I was never in the military, but you know, I believe that when you fight for patriotism, you're fighting against a threat from either here or abroad that is trying to hurt our country. All right. And what I'm going to do now is I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Smedley Butler, but Smedley Butler is, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I understand it, I know he is like the most decorated soldier in American history. But Smedley Butler came out with a book called War is a Racket. And I want to read a few uh, passages from that book. So, all right. First one I want to read is this. Uh, I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service, and during that period, I spent most of my time as a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street and the bankers. In short, I was a racketeer, a gangster for capitalism. I helped make Mexico and especially Tampico safe for American oil interests in 1914. Oh, boy. Gosh. I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the National City Bank boys to collect revenues in. I helped in the raping of a half a dozen Central American republics for the benefit of Wall Street. I helped purify Nicaragua for the International Banking House of Brothers in 1902 to 1912. I brought light to the Dominican Republic for the American sugar interests of 1916. I love the way I helped purify Nicaragua. I helped bring light. This guy, he's not happy. Okay. I helped make Honduras right for the American fruit companies in 1903. In China in 1927, I helped see to it that Standard Oil went on its way unmolested. Looking back on it, I might have given Al Capone a few hints. The best he could do was operate his racket in 3 districts. I operated on 3 continents. Beautiful ideals were painted for our boys who were sent out to die. The was the war to end all wars. This was the war to make the world safe for democracy. No one told them that dollars and cents were the real reason. No one mentioned to them as they marched away that their going and their dying would mean huge war profits. No one told these American soldiers that they might be shot down by bullets made by their own brothers here. No one told them that the ships on which they were going to cross might be torpedoed by submarines built with the United States patents. They were just told it was to be a glorious adventure. Thus, having stuffed patriotism down their throats, it was decided to make them help pay for the war too. So we gave them the large salary of $30 a month. All that they had to do for this munificent sum was to leave their dear ones behind, give up their jobs, lie in swampy trenches, eat canned willy when they could get it, and kill, kill, and kill, and be killed. There are only two reasons why you should ever be asked to give your youngsters. One is defense of our homes, the other is defense of our Bill of Rights, and particularly the right to worship God as we see fit. Every other reason advanced for the murder of young men is a racket, pure and simple. All right? To summarize, 3 steps must be taken to smash the war racket. 1, we must take the profit out of war. That's going to be oh man, right there is a tough one because the Warhawks are very wealthy because of war. Very wealthy. Lindsey Graham. Huh? 2, we must permit the youth of the land who would bear arms to decide whether or not there should be a war. There you go. Is it because I am actually patriotic? Will I be a patriot? Will I fight for the freedoms of my country? Or am I fighting for something else that doesn't have nothing to do with that? And 3, we must limit our military forces to home defense purposes. There you go. Defend my rights, defend my freedom, defend the people from that threat. Or I'm here in Pennsylvania and I'm pointing south right now. That threat. And I'm pointing at that as meaning all of it. All right. So when I was a kid, when I was young, when I was 18, I decided to go into the military. And I was conditioned by my parents to run everything by them. They were in control and they made decisions for me, which was stupid. I gave into that. Well, I'm kind of glad that this one worked out the way it did because I went to a recruiter. I decided I want to go in the military, but I had to run it by mom and dad. I ran it by mom and dad. Mom acted like I was dead already and in a closed coffin, and all that, all weak and almost falling on the floor. And dad didn't do anything. Just stood there kind of looking toward mom, kind of down at the floor. So I never went in. And for years I thought, well, I guess I'm not a patriot and I'm a coward and all that because that's what you heard. These guys that went in, you're not a patriot, you're a coward and all that. Until I started learning more about the business of war. And I realized that that's it. That's all it is, a business. The veterans out there are just screwed. Look what happened to them guys back in the 1930s. The army came out against them. They fought for what they thought was a noble cause. And it wasn't. That's why you veterans are being treated the way you are, because you're not fighting for a noble cause. And there's a number of a lot of veterans that are waking up from this and going, yeah, no. For those of you who haven't, and you might see this video and you get all butthurt, you'll wake up. All right. But that's all I have right now. And I will be back, with more. I wasn't planning on doing one like this, and then boom, I was over on X, and I'm like, yeah, okay. So, like I said, that's it. And patriotism. We need to fight for our freedoms and our rights against whatever tyranny, whether it's here or abroad. If it's coming here to take our freedom away, good. If it isn't, then don't fight for it. You know, we got enough problems right here, right? And that, you know, and I'm going to say this. I don't know if I said this in the first, uh, the video, but, there's Kramer Unstuck. All right. Signing off.